Right, it's 3 o'clock now, so I shall begin the meeting formally. So, welcome to the Planning Committee, everybody. We've quite a few members of the public today. We're not expecting the fire alarm, but if by any chance it goes off, it's going to be genuine. So, if you would leave the room by the double doors there, and then turn right, and then make your way to the skate park across the road. That's the muster point for fire regulations. Members of the public are allowed to film during the meeting. Dr. Knight, are you?
It's a very reverend night and now, and yes, I will be filming.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
I haven't addressed you correctly. But
Don't worry about it.
I don't want any disruption, please.
I won't disrupt anybody.
You have your legal right.
You know, I'm very quiet. I just film and observe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, unless you've registered to speak, we have 3 speakers on one of the applications, but otherwise, as members of the public in the gallery there, your role is to observe, but you're very welcome to do that. So I'll start now officially with the business. Item 1 is apologies for absence, substitutions, declarations of interest and dispensations. Mrs. Calvert?
Yes, we've got apologies from Councillor Danny Cassidy, and substituting is Councillor Carol Haythornthwaite. We've got apologies from Councillor Dave Parkins, and substituting is Councillor Jodie Clements, and then apologies from Councillor Steve Button, and substituting is Councillor Heather Anderson.
Thank you. So we've got a full 13 on the committee. So item 2 is the minutes of the last meeting. The minutes of the meeting held on 17th of January 2024. I'll propose that these be received and approved as a correct record. Do you have a seconder, please? Somebody who was there?
I'll second them.
Yes, Councillor Pratt, thank you. All in favour, those who were present? Thank you. Now we go on to the applications. We have got 1 or 2 supplementary documents here, so I think before we ask Mr. Priddle to present the first application, I think I just ought to give you the committee members. Have you had a chance to read this update, this status sheet? Have you read that one?
Yeah.
And what about the letter from the MP?
I've got one from the MP, but I haven't got the other one.
You should have a sheet that was, it's an update to both applications. So, okay then, well we'll go to the first application. Mr. Priddle, you're going to present the setting, can't you?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. This is application 11/23/0506, 30 Bluebell Way, Huncote. Planning permission is sought for the change of use of the residential property at 30 Bluebell Way to a household within use class C2, comprising mother and baby, or 2 children supported by up to 3 carers. As set out in the report, the property comprises a detached 3-bedroom residential property with sufficient space to park 2 cars off the highway. I do not intend to repeat details that are before you in the report. The proposed development has attracted a large number of representations from local residents that are summarised and addressed in the report. Since the report was published, the council has received 1 further representation that raises the following points. There is an adequate car parking provision for the proposed use, resulting in the blocking of driveways of nearby dwellings. The matter of car parking provision has been considered in the main report. The applicant has submitted a staff travel plan to promote car sharing so as to minimise parking needs. A condition is recommended in the main report to require implementation of the travel plan. I'll also bring to your attention a letter that has recently come in, I think it was in the last 10 minutes literally, from Sarah Britcliffe MP, a copy of which has been circulated, and she raises a number of points in relation to the development. It may be useful if I just read that through for people in case they haven't had the opportunity to read it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go directly to the main issues that she raised. Okay, she says this matter is due to go before committee later today, and whilst I have no formal role in the planning process, I would like to reiterate my concerns and those of residents. Firstly, the company in question, Trinity Care, has made several applications to change the status of dwellings on Bluebell Way. The latest, at number 30, is concerning because residents have reported that the company is currently using number 30 to educate children without either Ofsted approval or the required planning change of use. If this is true, abuse of process must be considered a factor in deliberations. I also understand that 49 Bluebell Way might be used for such purposes, despite rejection of its application in March 2023. Secondly, it is worth considering the local context, and not only the concentration of such activity on one street. In Lancashire, there are 1,164 children from outside the county who are placed here by other local authorities. For context, this is the single highest amount for any county in the country, more than Manchester, Liverpool and all London boroughs. In addition, the North West is home to 26% of England's children's homes. On a per capita basis, our area is significantly punching above its weight in this type of provision. I strongly believe that this matter needs to be referred to Lancashire County Council and urge Hyndburn Council to consider whether, in the light of the information above, this application is compatible with local needs and supports the provision of housing on appropriate sites to meet the needs of specific groups, including older people and other vulnerable groups. I think in relation to the letter that's been received, I'd only observe that the issue about the properties not being used without Ofsted approval isn't something we could get involved with as a planning authority. So I think it is something we can contact Ofsted about, given that the MP has written to us about this. And so I'd recommend that we do write to them to bring this matter to their attention. But I don't think it's a matter that we can address through the planning system. In relation to the concentration of uses, I have observed in my update that members will be aware that there are two similar planning applications which were submitted for development at 7 Bluebell Way and number 49 Bluebell Way, which were refused by members at planning committee, if you recall, and they have subsequently been appealed, but at this stage we don't know what the outcome of that appeal is, so it's very difficult to know what the kind of view of either the planning inspector is, or whether we can consider whether there's some form of cumulative impact of these developments, because at the moment we don't know whether they will either be granted or whether the appeal will be dismissed. So we are in a slightly difficult position on that. I think it's also worth saying to members that given the number of planning applications we've had for both houses in multiple occupation and for uses of dwellings as care homes in the C2 of the use classes order, officers are preparing a report for Cabinet that will make recommendations on how a policy can be developed that better addresses these types of development, having regard to both best practice and the approach being taken by neighbouring authorities. Work has already commenced on development of an evidence base necessary for this to proceed, which is looking at the distribution of the houses in multiple occupation and these children's care homes. So that is something that, as officers, we are progressing with a view to preparing a more fine-grained approach to dealing with applications of this type, because I think members would appreciate that there isn't a clear policy approach to these types of applications. So that's what I recommend that we are doing, but in terms of the letter from Sarah Brickworth, it has been distributed. The only other thing I'll say in relation to children from outside the county, we recognise that is an issue for Lancashire County Council, as set out in the report actually before you. They do raise their concerns about this, but from a planning perspective, we don't believe that we can put a condition onto a house that restricts the occupancy to children from outside the county. I don't think that actually makes a difference in terms of the potential impacts, whether the child comes from outside of Lancashire or whether they're from inside the county. So that does present a bit of an issue. We appreciate that in terms of the numbers of these properties, but in terms of the actual individual application, we don't believe we can control it in that way. I'll just turn to the presentation now. Here for you.
Slide.
On the slides. So this is a location plan showing the location of the property, number 30. Now just for members' information, on the photographs there is a garage shown to the left of the property. When you look at it, that's actually a separate ownership house. It's not actually within the ownership of the applicant. So the applicant is proposing 2 off-street car parking places as shown on the plan. So in terms of the elevations, there's no real changes to the properties themselves. There's no physical development as such taking place. So that's just an elevation showing the house as it is. That's the different elevations. This is a photograph of the house. Again, you can just see the garage on the side. The front is paved. That's a photograph of the house in the street scene. So the property is the one in the middle. I don't know if I've got a pointer on here. It's this one here. Okay. Another one of the properties straight in the middle. Again, the garage to the left is not within the curtilage. And this is another one looking down the street from the opposite direction with the property just hidden by the wall on the left. Okay. I'll just turn back to that one. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Biddle. We have 3 speakers on this application, so moment. The first speaker is Ms. Kelly Ball. Would you come to the chair? You can sit down if you like, and you have 5 minutes to speak.
Can I just distribute a little pack to everyone, so you can see some things I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'll just hand them down.
If you'd like to start now, Paul.
Hiya. As you'll remember, I was here for number 49 and number 7 back in June on Bluebell Way, and I'm disappointed to see that I'm here again for number 30. That's 3 houses that I've had to come and speak about and obviously appeal against. I also want to acknowledge that there were 69 applications against this. So 69 residents, people here and people away, are not happy with this company wanting to set up. So what I plan to do is to go through some of the issues that I have, but I just want to remind you of why you objected number 49 and number 7, and they should be exact same reasons for what's for number 30, should I say. Okay, so they're saying that there should be no impact towards residents if we have number 30. Well, it's not just number 30 we're looking at. There's an appeal in number 49 and number 7. So 3 homes on 1 street, and if you see the map that I've given to you, it's a 2-minute walk between the 3 of them. It's 1 street. Okay, so I just want you to take that into consideration and tell me how you feel that wouldn't be any impact to a small housing estate that we are. I also want to raise around the influx of traffic and parking. We're informed that there's a travel plan. I was informed of that in June last year. I've still not seen anything of it, and nor have the rest of the residents. So I'd like to see that travel plan. Epping Avenue apparently has got a travel plan in place, but if you go to your document 4 within your pack, you'll see that there's lots of cars parked out along with the police there. So how on earth are they using a travel plan? That's 3 cars along with the police. That's a regular occurrence which we will end up having on our streets. I also am concerned that if you look at points, in documents 1, 2 and 3, is that there's cars parked outside number 49 and number 7. They're blocking car drives on number 30 and they're also blocking on number 49. Now apparently there's no children in those homes. I beg to differ. They're using it unlawfully because there are cars there on a regular basis. I also want to raise, as Mr Simon Prododit said, that there is 2 parking spaces, not 3 as we were led to believe. One of the parking spaces is for 1 Hyacinth Drive. It's extremely busy on our street as it is. I've got a few more photos that you can look at your leisure to say about how busy it is. My daughter again was run over, as I said at the last meeting, because of cars being double parked, so that for me is a massive concern. Okay, then we go in against Hyndburn's housing plan in respect of trying to make it a 3 and 4 bedroom homes and using quality homes to attract residents. Who in their right mind is going to want to buy a 3 and 4 bedroom home when we've got 3 children's homes potentially on one street? Okay, so that's going against our own policy. And then we've got, they're saying that they provide an impeccable state of repair on their properties. Well, if you look at document 5, and I've also got document 6, you'll see where they're not upkeeping the properties that they've got at the moment. So I'd like that to be questioned. And then the main issues for us are in respect of, they say that there's no evidence to suggest that services are not robust enough to cope with what's the additional demand on these homes. Well, there's no rooms at the local school. There's no room at the local school at Huncote. It's oversubscribed already. The dentists were oversubscribed, and you're already aware of the crisis on the news at the moment about people getting dentists. There's the doctors, again, we struggle to get in to see our doctors. The A&E times, it's a minimum of 48 hours to try and get seen at the moment. And then Lancashire Police and their resources and social care budgets. So as you were saying, Simon, in respect of we can't stop other local authorities putting children in, but that's costing local authorities a significant amount of money, because that's what they have to do as the local authorities, because there's no in-house placements. There's your Brownies, your Scouts, your youth clubs, oversubscribed. My daughter's been on a waiting list for 2 years and she's still not on it. Do I need to go on in respect to the resources that we can't access in it now, and let alone having 2 free children's homes? And then I also want to remind you in respect of the antisocial behaviour. So I've looked at the crime statistics on Epping Avenue, which is published on streetcheck.co.uk if you'd like to look at it. From when they became a residential home on that street, there has been an increase in public order, antisocial behaviour and criminal damage. Although we can't say it's solely down to that home, we know that they have contributed it due to what I brought to you at the last panel, where cars were being smashed, there was criminal damage, and also staff feeling that they was unable to manage those children. Also, in the most recent Ofsted report, it states that they got inadequate. They got inadequate for, and the staff are saying they were not adequately trained for these children and to manage these children in these homes, which will then have an impact on us as residents. So what I asked the Chair to look at Article 4, to look at the mushrooming effects. It's going on to be stopped in respect to these homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I have Councillor Danny Cassidy, please, who's one of Ward Council Civil Code. Thank you, Councillor Cassidy.
Thank you, Chair. I can't put more eloquently than what Kelly's just already done. A lot of the information that I've got in front of me is referring to what Kelly's gone through. I don't live on that street, nor would I like to with 3 properties that would be care homes. Every time we get an application, and I usually sit that side of the desk, every time we get an application for these homes, it's for a mother and baby unit. I beg to differ. I've not seen, out of all these homes, any mother and baby unit. Because to me, the business programme says that it's more lucrative as an operator, as a private operator, to have children with more difficulties. And I can speak from experience, having done 22 years myself, looking after the youth of East Lancashire and working at a pupil reintegration unit. I think that we need to be looking at the care and the well-being of the residents that are on these streets, rather than looking at these children's homes that, according to Lancashire Senior Commissioning Officer, who doesn't support this application or applications of this kind. The MP that has distributed the information that I was going to give you about the 1,164 children placed already in this area by the authorities. How many more children's homes do we need? This is a mushroom effect. It's constantly throughout the borough. And I think that we need to come up with some strategy to actually stop this. It shows when two councillors of two political persuasions are here today to speak on behalf of the residents, the feeling of the residents. I think the people behind me who elected us both to represent them are here showing how much they feel about this situation. I know it's difficult under planning that you have to have grounds to refuse an application, and I get that because I do sit on planning, and I'll bow me out to Dave who's more experienced on planning, but on amenities alone, the pictures that was taken must have been during the day, because that is not Quiet Street. That is, you must have got that on some time that, you know, everybody were out at work, which they are working people on that street, and they're entitled to have their peace of mind. They're entitled to not feel under threat. I think we need to put a stop to these. Thank you for your time.
I'll just point out that the description of the development says a resident, mother and baby, or 2 children, and children is in the legal sense. Anybody under the age of 18 is classed as a child. So, Councillor Dave Parkins now, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The dog's on. Well, first of all, Madam Chair, public officers, I'm not stepping down off this committee today because of all the slating I've had on social media. I'm here to support the residents of Bluebell Way. I had a meeting with Madam Chair, Councillor Addison, some weeks ago, referenced care homes, children's units. We both went together to see Mr. Prideaux, which we did. We had a very good conversation. I got a children's care home advice note. This is from Blackpool, is this? And it's a very good document. And the contents of this is the purpose of the advice note, aims and objectives, children's care in Blackpool. I know it's in Blackpool, because we haven't got one. A planning perspective, relevant planning policy, guidance and information, specific advice and further information. Now, I've had an email from County Council. If I'm hearing it, read it out, Madam Chair. As you will have seen in our Children's Home Market Position Statement, Lancashire County Council's Children's Services share the concerns expressed in your email. Lancashire has more Ofsted registered children's homes in our local authority area than anywhere else in the country, yet we can still struggle to find suitable local homes for all our children in care, as most of the homes are in our area are caring for children for other local authorities. Despite our high numbers, we do have a need for more children's homes in our area, but we are clear that these homes need to be operated by providers who are committed to providing homes for Lancashire children. However, our ability to influence this is limited. The regulatory body, Ofsted, determines which homes become registered, and Lancashire County Council is not involved in consulting on this. The Children's Homes regulations do not require providers to have to care for children, even though best practice for children to live close to their home, school, friends and local communities. District councils are responsible for planning matters, but again the County Council's role in this is limited. The County Council's Children Commissioning team have been proactively I've been contacted at Lancashire District Planning Departments to request that we become a named consultee on our children's home planning applications. Most districts now do this, however Highbury currently does not. My team instead regularly check the weekly list produced by Highbury, and I provide responses including the applications from Prosperity Care Homes for homes on Bluebell Way. Our responses tend to focus on our knowledge of the provider, and whether we use them or have discussion with them about the proposed homes, and our view and the likelihood that the provider will prioritise Lancashire children. It also includes a view on whether the proposed homes will help to meet the identified local gaps in provision and offer good quality and good value care. We have received feedback from some district planning authorities that the above issues are not material planning considerations and therefore cannot be taken into account. However, we are aware that some nearby district councils, Blackpool, Blackburn with Darwin and Lancaster, are taking these factors into consideration and have more robust processes in place to better control the number of children home in their area and who they are operated by. And they also have mechanisms to ensure that local children are cared for in these homes. We continue to explore this with our district planning departments with the aim of having a more robust and consistent county-wide approach that does take into account whether the homes meet a local gap in provision and a provider's commitment to caring for Lancashire children. Not so much clear now. There are also potential national barriers to us driving this agenda forward. A written ministerial statement was issued last year which suggested a move nationally to removing barriers and make open smaller children's homes easier from a planning perspective. I've been advised that WMS is preventing some of our local planning departments from wishing to consider a more robust approach to planning applications. Whilst I do understand why the WMS has been issued particularly to support the establishment of provisions in areas without sufficient supply, it does not appear to take into account the impact of this on areas where there is a high concentration of homes. However, may I carry on?
Can you just...
Yeah,
yes,
3 minutes,
please,
yeah.
please,
Yeah, I can't finish it all, Chairman, but what I want to say is I'd like to see our officers, Mr Prideaux, Chair of Planning, our county councillors, to sit down with the officers in county council, in the care industry, the care home authority, and come up with a policy, a rigid policy, that this won't happen again. Yes, I moved the 7 Bluebell Way one, because in my own mind, there was nothing against planning, which there wasn't, but I didn't expect an epidemic like this, and I didn't. Nobody can foresee that. So, I asked the committee to vote against this application, and let's go forward, and let's produce a policy. It won't happen today, tomorrow, next month. It'll take time. But at the end of the day, there's only us, councillors, officers and that, who get a policy together, make it robust and make it work, and put it within the local plan. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Right, I'll open up the debate to the committee members now. Would anybody like to speak, please? Anyone want to speak?
Well, I will, Chair.
Yes, Councillor Haythornthwaite, yes.
I do appreciate that there would be difficulty in staffing such an establishment, and I think it would cause problems of antisocial behaviour, etc., as is feared in the reports. I appreciate the difficulty of safety issues that have been brought to attention and the current parking, of which there is evidence, photographic evidence. I haven't seen the travel plan, I don't know where that is, and whether that's at all assuring. I'm not quite convinced.
I think it refers mainly to car sharing.
Yes, that's
agency,
right, and that's it. But whether that would actually happen in reality, I think I've got some doubts about that.
Sorry, yes.
So, I think also the cumulative effect of having 3 houses with 3 parking cars at each is has a substantial impact on the area, and probably would be a safety consideration. The fact that we've already set a precedent of rejecting 2 applications is very difficult to go against what we've decided earlier. we did have, as a borough council, I believe, we did have some conversations with LCC on the issue of what their feelings were about applications, which I think is why we're now consulting them. I may be wrong there, Mr. Prideaux, but I do remember our chief exec here in the borough taking the issue up with LCC, and I personally did that with the lady called Edwina, who's now left LCC. But it has been a point that's been discussed. There is travel of children from Lancashire elsewhere. Sometimes it is to the benefit of the child to be out of the area where they've lived. But I think there's an inordinate number of children coming into this area, and it's recognised in the evidence. It's not a planning consideration, I accept that. Several of the points I've made aren't. But the safety issues, I think, would make me think that we shouldn't accept this application despite the planning officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, sorry, Councillor Dawson.
I was just looking at the report, the additional report that Simon's ended up this afternoon. I just don't know how we can make a decision once we don't know the outcome of those appeals. I'd also add into that as well the note that Simon said was again about working on the policy appertaining to historic homes. Again, I know that could take a while, but it would be useful to have that in front of us. Well, you know, whether we can judge any planning application against the policy. But I'm saying I'm certainly against making a decision without knowing what those appeals are. I don't know when we'll find out about what the situation is with them. But I think it'd be unfair on the residents to make a decision without having those appeals, knowing those appeals. And also about the policy as well, you know, if we can get a policy that has some control. I mean, I have every sympathy with the residents, on Bluebell and with other areas as well, but that's why we need a policy, Judith, isn't it?
It is, yes.
So my inclination would be that somehow that we need to wait while we have those in place. I know there's a time factor, but if we're not inclined to do that, I would vote against it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Hayes.
I'd just like to say, I mean, basically the properties were built for residential, and then when you look obviously at one of the drawings, it's two for appeal. If they get passed and then there's one already, then they become businesses. So, you know, it's something that we really do need to proceed drawing up to stop all this snarkings on it. We need to provide for our children in the area of Lancashire children. We can't afford to draft more in from other areas. I understand that a lot they do need to be out of their area, but a lot need to be near the family in their own areas for a bit of stability. So, I'm not prepared to go forward with this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes?
It mentions about this staff travel plan,
Yes.
and it says it has been submitted, but I can't see anything in here about, apart from a mention that they will be doing a car share. So is there anything, I can't see staff, like say if the base is in another town, do the other staff have to go to this town, pick a car up, go back to there, then when they finish the shift they're going to go back to base? Is this what they're going to
I
do?
think that was the idea. The base is at Alton Business Park, so I think that they go there in the cars, and then if two of them are going on duty at the same time, they're supposed to travel together in one car. Is that so?
I couldn't explain it better than that.
So that's, listen, so
That's what they maintain do.
so there shouldn't be any more than 2 cars anyway. They said that there might be so if they're going to do this, but how is that going to be regulated? So if we did pass it, and then there's like 3, 4, 5 cars, because they've gone against what they've said, so how would that be regulated, that they're actually going to stick to this parking plan?
Well, the report recommends that development is carried out in accordance with the conditions, including the travel plan. So if we felt or we had complaints about the fact it wasn't being adhered to, we'd have to investigate those through the enforcement service, which would probably, in the first instance, require us to contact the applicant to find out what was going on a particular day, but also evidence it. So, you know, are those cars being used by members of staff, or are they being used by people perhaps visiting the premises, like, you know, somebody from social services?
We give you evidence
GP.
about them working there before.
So
And you've
you know,
not
there is an
responded to
enforcement
anything.
regime in place for that to be looked at or investigated if necessary.
Councillor Hearn, yes.
Thanks, Chair. It's just to know that the previous applications have been refused here. I think it would be totally inappropriate for us to go ahead with this application. It should have been refused along with the other two that come along.
Councillor Cox. Oh, Councillor Cox, sorry.
Yeah, just back to what Councillor Anderson said, what you said, Mr. Prideaux. So basically, we need to wait for something to go wrong before enforcement can happen on this travel plan. Listening to everything that I've listened to today, for me, working with young people, it's a particularly difficult thing for me to want to go against. But given all the evidence, I've got no option but to go against it. The fact that there's 2 outstanding appeals, the fact that there's no clear policy, I'd prefer not to see anything like this come up again until we've got a clear strategy from this council with LCC involved as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cox?
Thank you, Chair. We've had quite a few of these now.
Yes.
I do fully appreciate this is an extremely emotive issue, and people do get very emotional about it. I mean, obviously, looking at it from a clear head, we have to look at this on planning grounds solely. I mean, yes, we have issues with school placements, NHS supply, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, but I don't really think that's got a lot to do with a couple of children's homes on a single street. That's more to do with central government than it is to do with that. But what does concern me, well, central government and what they don't do, what does concern me is when you read this report, we have the senior commissioning manager from LCC, who are far greater authority on this subject than I am, telling me that they don't support this application. Now that worries me and makes me think, well, where are we in? But we've got to take this back to planning grounds, like I said at the beginning, and for me, the wording is here for us because, as been already highlighted by a couple of fellow councillors, it's this travel plan that we're not particularly comfortable with, and for me, it says here that this operation, its main impacts would arise from vehicle movement. Now, for me, again, that says to me it'll create a unacceptable adverse impact to the local community. And for me, that's the grounds we have to refuse it. And we have to base it on this application, not on the other two, solely on this one. And for me, that's how we move it, that's how we take this forward, and then we can address the others that come to us in the same way.
Thank you. Any other members wish to comment? Oh yes, Councillor Greg.
Yeah, I'd just like to agree with a lot of what my colleagues have said about this travel plan. I mean, it's a cut and paste job, isn't it, from a lot of the other applications. I just don't see it being realistic or adhered to at all. And I think some of the evidence that's been supplied today points to that. I think we need a policy as soon as possible, because as other boroughs bring policies in, then these children's care home companies will target Hyndburn even more because we don't have a policy, and so you could end up with, you know, there's 3 applications in at the moment, you know, just for one street we could end up, like people said, a mushrooming of this. So yeah, I'm inclined to vote against this today, and would urge the council to put a policy in place as soon as possible.
Thank you. Anyone else? Would either Mr. Prideaux or Ms Ellis like to comment on anything?
Well, I'll only respond, Chair, by saying that you know, the intention is to develop a policy that will aim to deal with the issue of HMOs and care homes, and do that in consultation with members, but also wider consultation as well, that can be used in the determination of planning applications in the future.
But as far as applications that are coming in are concerned, I presume that we have to deal with them within a time limit.
Yes.
Whether we have a policy or not, we're bound to deal with them within a certain time limit and plan.
That's correct. Yeah, we have 8 weeks to determine planning applications, and we have to do it on the basis of the policy that's before us.
Right. Okay.
Let's go on it.
So everybody has said what we want to say now. Oh, is there somebody else? Oh, Councillor Khan, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. For some reason, Bluebell Way has become favourite for these care homes. Having said that, I agree with all my colleagues in what they've said. To be fair to the residents and to the applicants, since, like Terry has said, since we've refused the previous applications, I think we should refuse this one as well.
I think the houses are, I have an estate very similar in Oswald, and some of those have become care homes, and I think it's that a particular type of house is attractive to the applicant, irrespective of anything else, but I take on board what you say, yes. So, the planning officers have have we got somebody else, sorry?
If I may, I was just going to ask a question. It may be obvious, but do I take it, or do we take it, that 2 out of the 3 of these premises are already working as care homes, or is it all 3, or is it just 1? The suggestion is that 30 and 49 are both.
Yeah. 49.
The residents may know the answer to that, I don't.
It was alleged that they are operating as such, even though the appeal is still pending, is that so?
So in a way, this is...
Emailed you, Simon, and your colleagues previously, numerous times about it, but you always seem to go off and check when it's not still allowed.
So really this is a retrospective application.
Yeah, the position is that the appeals are outstanding. We haven't had either appeal that we've largely made, so we're awaiting a date for those to be determined. As far as I know, I don't know what's happening at number 40. I think it goes past number 7 relatively recently. I couldn't see any activity there. The front garden looked fairly overgrown, but there were no cars in it, so I don't know. So I don't know what's happening at number 7.
Thank you.
Right. So we need to go to the vote. The officers have recommended this for approval on the reasons given, the conditions given. I'm prepared to propose that we accept the officers' recommendations for approval. Is anybody prepared to second that?
No.
No. Okay, so with no seconder.
No.
So would anybody then like to propose, with good planning reasons to support it, that we refuse this application?
One of you stick your hand up. Come on.
Councillor Hearn?
Yes, I'll.
You proposing that
Yes,
we
that we refuse.
refuse it, and on what grounds would that be?
And what the Paul had said earlier regarding the...
Paul Cox's grounds.
Sorry, Paul,
Yeah.
About the travel plan and...
Unacceptable adverse impacts on loss of local immunity.
Right.
There you go.
So,
And I'll second it.
you'll
Paul
second
Cox will
it,
second
right.
it. That's all,
So
isn't it?
you've got a proposer and a seconder for a refusal.
No, that's all.
Those who want to vote for that refusal, can you raise your hands, please?
Oh, actually, it is unanimous as well.
Is it 12? Is it 12? I'd have to vote against it, so I can't feel against.
Yeah,
Okay.
you haven't got an option but to vote against them, you choose.
Is the reason, have you got
Yeah,
reason
if
clarified?
I could just confirm that it's on the basis of the loss of local amenity. And is that by reason of potential increased traffic and vehicle movements?
Safety.
Is that the concern?
Safety.
Thank you for clarifying. In these cases, we will put the necessary policy wording together.
Yes.
And we'll consult the two members that moved it and seconded it.
Yes.
With a view to agreeing the final wording of the reason for refusal.
Right, thank you. So, I mean, I do agree with you in general that we are needing some kind of policy now as guidelines. We're getting a lot of these applications, but we have to take one on its merits, don't we? So, right, well, thank you very much then for, we have another item on the agenda, we'll just be having a short break. But those who've come specifically for this application, if you do wish to leave now, then they do so.
Sorry, mate. No, you're all right. You don't have to jump up under anything. Well, congrats, if that's what you wanted. Yeah, they might appeal it. They probably will appeal it. They've appealed the other two. Why would they not appeal? Mind you, they didn't appeal Epping Avenue, did they? You know what I mean? They never appealed the Epping Avenue one. That one got cancelled. Oh, wait, no, no.
When people start to see what is such a decision, then they start to say,
well, yeah, this is it.
Nice to see you.
They'd like to be saving all of the authorities, though, eh? You know what I mean? Maybe Hangman really sent to other authorities. I mean, I don't know, I'm not saying they are. I'm not sticking up for them at all. But, you know what I mean? I'm saying, you know, our children must be going somewhere. You know what I mean? Is it a way to like get them in? You know what I mean? Oh, well, that's okay. So we'll have people from other towns. It should be. And they should be pretty close to the parents. No problem. You can sit down now. I thought the Market Chambers would be the interesting one. You know what I mean? More interested in children's homes than 10 million quid.
Well, I suppose it affects them, doesn't it, directly?
Well,
Does it affect them directly?
It affects them a little bit. You know, if they want to go to Market Chambers at any time soon, or if they have, some people might still be living in this Market Chambers. You know what I mean? It's been residential for a bit. Yeah, and we were talking yesterday about compulsory purchases in, like, I mean, they just like slide it in. Oh, we might have to compulsory purchase some things, you know, like nonchalantly. Compulsory purchase, terrible. Well, you know, well, if you've got money to spend and you've only got a limited time to spend it in, you've got to then compulsory purchase at whatever they want, really, haven't you? They're a little bit over a barrel, aren't they? All right, Peter, how are you? They love me filming in here, you know, they love it. Yeah, they really do. Or maybe they don't. But they film, so if they film me, it's only fair that I get to film them, innit? Cameras everywhere. You know, if we're 6 foot away from a camera.
Or a microphone for that matter.
Well, that's very true, very true. You know, even without knowing with a microphone, though, innit? You know what I mean? I mean, like, you know, you talk about something and pops up on Facebook or, you know.
Or the Mail on Sunday for that matter.
Well. Yeah, the lack of Labour people is telling, isn't it? There's a few, but I don't know. It's like they're all dropping like flies, isn't it, Labour? I mean, like, you know, Graham and Munsif. They're waiting to, like, my dad were there holding up a placard. Munsif he's been named by Sky, and then obviously Noydad was there with a placard, like, holding up his name, smiling, so he'll probably be next to go. And then you've got Kimberly, whose ward it was, and she's obviously the fiancée of Graham, so, you know, I mean, it's like a massive like house of cards, and just come tumbling down. Do whatever. I don't know who they're going to get to stand in his stead.
That impose somebody from outside.
Yeah. Bummer. Not that they fucking come in. Well, some of them might do. Hopefully they'll groom Noidad for the job. And then somebody like right at last minute will say, oh, but he was there as well, holding up his placard.
Well, the thing is that the weekend would put it past your day. They'll be the one that recorded.
Ooh, that's a bit iffy. Want to say it again on camera?
Well, he plays a double game, doesn't he?
He does play a double game. He's a dodgy. He's proper dodgy, Noidad, he really is. I mean, I like him, but he's dodgy. You know, he's an accountant that doesn't know how to account for expenses that we do, really. You know what I mean? When there's a paper trail, you want to be careful what you're not writing down, you know, when emissions equal criminal records. Especially if you're an accountant, you can't really get away with an accounting issue when you're an accountant, can you? You know what I mean? I like to give donations. Donations is a cracking thing to give. You know, I've got to record it and that, like, they forget. Those monster raving loony fighty people aren't all that monster raving anymore. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Local and general. Happy days, yeah. Local for Netherton. This is, I'm not allowed to see Colin. Don't sit anywhere near me, Colin. I'll get done. Restraining order. But I mean, if he comes to me, it's not my fault, is it? I'll real first. How do you feel about Graham, Jordan? What are your thoughts on Graham? You know? You're a lustrous bleeder. What about Noidad? I mean, he was there, weren't he? Holding up a placard. Kimberley, Whitehead, were it not her ward? Were it her ward that party were in? Jordy, were it her ward or not? You're not going to answer? Just a no comment will do. You can film me all you want. But you're at work, so I can request that now, can't I? Through a subject access. You can't request mine, but I can request yours. It is about it's public. We're in a public place, aren't we? Am I? Oh, it's a shame for you. I felt alarm harassing this stress. Look, I've got a letter here from a... Look, Geordie, it's zoom in on it. Zoom in on it. It's a criminal thing for Kimberley, because she harassed me. You can't be harassed from so far away. Oh dear. Everybody feels harassed. What a shame.
Okay, we'll continue with the next item then. So, Mr. Prideaux, over to you then to present this application.
Thank you, Chair. This is planning application 11/230/418, Market Chambers 4359 Blackburn Road, Appin. Planning Commission sought the change of use of this key town centre building to provide a new cultural and community facility alongside external alterations, repairs to the building facade, and a third floor roof extension to accommodate internal access. I'm sure that members will be familiar with the building. The building is within Accrington Town Centre Conservation Area and is locally listed. It is also directly opposite the Market Hall, a Grade 2 listed building. Key changes proposed relate to the development of new shop fronts that are illustrated by the slide, which I'll come to in a minute. The Council's Conservation Officer believes that the proposed shop fronts will be of a more appropriate style and design than those existing, and would enhance the character and appearance of the buildings in this highly prominent and attractive location. The resulting elevations will be of a more uniform and consistent appearance, which is to be welcomed. The entrance to the building is to be relocated to improve access within the main entrance to the central bay, whilst the historically lost corner entrance will be used as a display window. Changes that will improve the use of the building while retaining architectural legibility. Although some of the changes to the roof will be visible from various vantage points, They are set back from the roof line, and the additions have a simple design that is modest and in keeping with the existing scale and pattern features at that level. It is therefore considered that these changes would not detract from the overall significance of these buildings or those nearby. The consultation responses are set out in the report, and no further representations have been received. Proposed development is consistent with the policies of the development plan and has the potential to bring significant benefits to Accrington Town Centre as a key part of the Council's Town Centre strategy that is supported through the Levelling Up Fund. Since the report was published, the applicant has made a number of observations on the report, and these are set out below. In terms of residential occupation, for clarity, in the report it indicates that some of the flats, it's a bit uncertain about whether the flats are occupied or not, but the flats within 49 to 51 Blackburn Road are vacant, but it's understood that there are still some in occupation, but the council is working with landowners and tenants in that regard. Some observations have also been made in relation to conditions 7, 8 and 9 in the report, and so revised wording for condition 7 is proposed before you. It's a relatively minor change, so I don't need to read it out in full, I don't think. And it's recommended that conditions 8 and 9, which concern the installation of some swift nesting boxes on the front elevation, have been merged into a single condition that just reads better. So it just means that there's a slightly more cogent approach to that. The applicant is satisfied with that approach. And in terms of the recommendation, it is also recommended that delegated authority be given to the Chief Planning and Transportation Officer to finalise details of the wording of conditions should this be necessary. I think we've probably been through that process, but just in case the applicant sees anything in the next day or so which they feel isn't appropriate in the report, if members are minded to approve this application. I'll just take you through a few slides. So this is the location plan outlining the developments in red. It's on the square just opposite the market hall, town hall just to the northwest. Slightly larger version of the same plan. So this is the existing Blackburn Road elevations. Again, I'm sure you're very familiar with this. Very prominent building, Accrington Town Centre. Very fine architectural building. This is a computer-generated image of the proposed changes, which illustrate the new consistent approach to the shop front, which can be seen down here, using a sort of bronze metallic finish, similar to those that we showed you on Burton's Chambers last meeting.
Yes.
So they were designed to sort of fit together, and then you've got the roof feature up there.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, you can see the roof. The only change is that slightly square feature on the top, which is designed to accommodate access arrangements, principally a lift. Those are the proposed Dutton Street, Church Street elevations from the submitted plans. I find the CGI is a bit more useful because you can see the change a bit more clearly. So here's the changes to the shop front on that corner. There is a new access point which I'll just point out, which is here. So that's been designed to be immediately opposite the entrance to the market hall, and it is slightly larger than the previous key access, which was in this point, as you can see from the design of it. So this will become the new access, which is in this sort of central block, which separates the two sides, which are architecturally very distinctive. That's the other corner. Again, showing many of the shop fronts and the new structure on the roof. Another aerial view that illustrates this feature on the roof again. And some photographs of the site, which were just taken a few days ago. I wasn't able to stand further back because of all the
Carriages.
stalls in there, so they're a bit close, but anyway, you get the general idea. So why talking on the corner, and then one further back, showing the corner of the building. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So who owns the building, or who will own it? Will it be owned by the council, or is it
I think that's the intention.
Yes.
So negotiations are underway in terms of the council acquiring the various freeholds or leaseholds.
Yes, I see. Okay, thank you. Right, anybody like to make any comments, please? Yes, Councillor Clements.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the businesses that are currently in there, the White Orchid, where is it going?
Yeah, well, the council is in discussion with all the different occupants at the moment with a view to ensuring that there is a transition in terms of ownership, and that's something which is ongoing between the council's legal representatives and the owners.
What are their views?
I can't say, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to say what the views of the independent occupiers are.
And the tenants as well, I mentioned to you earlier about businesses and tenants.
Yeah, again, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to report what the position on those discussions are between them. They're essentially commercial
You said there was some
discussions taking place.
uncertainty as to whether there were tenants living in the flats above.
We understand there are some tenants in some of the properties, yes, and they're on leasehold arrangements, which again are relatively short-term leaseholds, I understand, and there are ongoing discussions between the council's representatives and the owners of those buildings in relation to those leaseholds. I would just say, Chair, that in terms of the planning considerations about that, we're considering whether the use of this building for the purpose proposed is acceptable rather than the details of the existing leaseholds. That's a commercial consideration that any potential purchaser would have to go into.
So essentially we're dealing at the moment then with the alterations to the building, external and internal, within the context of the conservation area.
This is for a change of use as well.
Yes. Okay, yes. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Dawson.
Just on traffic. I mean, if this is successful and the building's occupied, which is not known what it is, wouldn't that necessarily, that would generate more traffic, wouldn't it? I mean, say, because, you know, what they're talking about, I mean, there's limited parking down there, isn't there? You know, there's none there because they put them things outside town road.
Isn't the road close to traffic between in front of the
yeah,
town
but
hall?
if it is successful, which obviously we hope it is, you know, that surely will generate more traffic, won't it?
Well, I think that's what the intention is. This is intended to try and attract people into the town centre as part of the council's regeneration strategy, with a view to bringing people in to use the food hall opposite that's proposed and the arts facility that is also proposed. So it is in a highly sustainable location. It's got good bus access. You can cycle in. You've got a railway station just up the road. So a town centre location is ideal for this type of use.
Oh yeah, but where's parking?
Well, there is car parking in and around Accrington town centre. Most of it is free of charge, and there are other car parks. We agreed 3 hours use of the Tesco car park, for example, so that people could actually use Accrington town centre as well as visiting Tesco.
Will Peel Street be all parking eventually, where it goes to the market and the bus station, etc.? I mean, there's parking now, but
there are proposals to increase the area of car parking outside the market hall. As members will be aware, there was planning permission granted for that, but obviously that's separate to this proposal.
Yes.
At the moment we're just considering this proposal.
Yes.
I would observe that Lancashire County Council's Highway Authority haven't raised any concerns about additional vehicles.
I mean, just say that every time we come up with something to the town centre, we keep saying, and when somebody raises the issue of parking, say, well, there's plenty of parts that have been said that for years, haven't there? But yeah, providing they're willing to walk, I suppose there is, isn't there?
Well, people are not willing to walk though, are they?
Well, that's the thing.
There's a reason they go to Tesco and Asda.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to make a comment? No, I mean, it would be good to see the building brought back into use, I have to say. I mean, when those buildings were built on Blackwood Road, I mean, you see photos of them, and they were in the days when there was a lot of money happening about in Accrington, and, you know, probably wealthy industrialists, etc. And the only ones that does remember Woolworths and occupying part of that block.
Money's been allocated, you can't say no.
Store, wasn't it, and bridges at the other end. So,
Yeah,
sadly,
right.
I mean, I've observed these last few years, you know, you've looked across from the market at those shops on the ground floor, and slot machine arcade, and garish shop fronts, blue, yellow, red, you know, not fitting into the conservation area. So it would be nice to see them restored, not perhaps entirely to their original architecture, but something tasteful and in keeping with the conservation area status. So I'll propose then that we, unless anybody else wants to say anything still.
Judith?
Yes?
Can I just ask, what is happening to the White Orchid? It's the only building on there that does have any quality.
The White
Straight
Orchid.
answer from anybody.
I can't say what's happening to the White Orchid.
Are they being allowed to stay there, or they're going to have to move?
Have to move.
Well, the council are in discussions with the White Orchid about, you know, what happens as a result of this proposal, but they're commercial discussions, and I can't really say any information in relation to those.
Well, they're going to have to move.
Right, so that's quite a strong consideration.
It's going to be a heritage centre downstairs.
So, well, I propose then that we accept the officer's recommendation for approval. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Councillor Pratt. All those in favour, raise their hands, please. Is that at everybody 13? So that's approved then. Thank you. So the date of the next committee, I think, is the 20th of March. So thank you everybody for your attendance.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Alright. It's a bit of a poo do really when you can't speak to your counsellor without them accusing you of harassment, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like why would Geordie and Heather all say they feel harassed?
Speak to them about that.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? Terrible. Harassment, indeed, you know, public question from a member of the public. You need to grow a bit of a backbone, don't you know, hand back the allowance maybe.
It's a bit uncomfortable when somebody's standing right behind you.
Well, I apologise for that, but somebody stood right in front of me, so I had to move. You know, I mean, like, I would like to get the CCTV, but they're not going to give me that, are they? Just be realistic about it. Sorry about that. Excuse me, Jane. Jane, excuse me. Quick word, Jane.
I don't want to have a quick word.
Well, I need to have a quick word, Jane. It's about one of your councillors. I've got a... That's very rude of her, isn't it? Very rude. Oh, dear me. One of them, is it? Oh, dear. I don't know, I can't read, you're right, you're very right, I can't read. Have you got one for the door as well? One for here as well? Hello. Hello. Nice artwork. Never had this before. They must put these up. These must be new. Brand spankers. See you later.